Hey guys, Jack here. Let's jump right into the Shadow of the Erdtree trailer analysis. We're not fussing about here. So my first impressions of seeing this character is that they are most likely an NPC that will either lead us to Miquella's cocoon to say this is how you get to the Shadowlands, or this is one of the many NPCs who is supposed to be there following Miquella as well as the player character, or this could be the player character themselves. Could just be very insignificant that we see this person, or, there's going to be a big revelation later, so who knows.
Pure and radiant.
The dialogue we hear just feels like it's echoing the Bewitching branch, as well as echoing Gideon Ofnir's concerns about Miquella being able to compel love. He says, let's destroy the cocoon. We're going to let it play a bit. I want it to get to that big, wide open shot before we start talking about what's on the screen. Excellent. All right, so this is really crazy. From what we know from the interviews with Miyazaki is that this is the Land of Shadow, or this is the Shadowlands. It's not its actual name, but that's just what they're calling it. It's supposed to be within the shadow of the Erdtree. Like literally, it's within the Erdtree shadow. It's under the shadow, and it's also supposed to be like a shadow. I wouldn't say dimension, but shadow in a way that it's the darker side of the Erdtree. What we are seeing right now may actually be the Erdtree, or it may be a manifestation of it, or it might be another Erdtree. Who knows? It might be what the Erdtree really looks like. What's very interesting is based on where the light is being cast and where you can see the sun within Elden Ring. I think if you go to, let's say, Baiji in Liurnia, you'll see that the sun rises and sets on the western side of the Erdtree. So if that light that is behind the Erdtree right now is or when I say the Erdtree, I mean the Shadow Erdtree, whatever this is, that could be the sunlight being cast onto this area. And I think that would place this, if this was going to be within the Lands Between, if this area, it's not in the Lands Between, but if it was in the Lands Between, I think this would place it between the mountaintops and Caelid, kind of where Farum Azula is. We know that this is not in the past, not the future. This is contemporary. This is, this place exists as it is right now, currently within the game. When you're mucking about playing your game right now, this place exists how it's standing right now. So, since this place is, from what we know, where Marika first set foot, it's where she became a god. It's also apparently where the Erdtree was born or created. I believe that it used to be part of the Lands Between. But now it's not. Something occurred, so it doesn't exist anymore. It's hidden. It's being obscured. If we look at the Lands Between right now, it's kind of like a crescent shape. I suspect that this area used to be on the eastern side, creating a complete ring of the map. If it were to exist currently without being taken away somehow, it would be filling the circle. We also see this veil in the sky. This is, you may have recognized it from Marika's bedchambers or the Baldecin's blessing. A Baldecin is a type of bed veil. And what's very interesting about this is that we know that Fia, the deathbed companion, she says that she come to where she's from, being a deathbed companion is very sacred. She was supposed to lie with the remains of an exalted noble. Later, through her dialogue, she tells us that exalted noble was Godwyn. From the Baldecin Blessing item description, it says that a church in the guise of a bedchamber. So when I see this Baldecin obscuring light somehow from the sun and the Erdtree, making this place hidden. it exists. This is a physical place that used to exist with its own people, its own culture, and its own history. But somehow through this baldachin magic, it's able to put it under a veil, and people don't know it exists. They may have even forgotten that it exists. And I also think this shows that we may have found the homeland to Fia. She says that she was, I think, driven away. And it may have been that when she got the guidance of Grace, that's what, once she saw Grace, that's why she was driven away from her homeland. We know that from interviews with Miyazaki that we won't be using Grace to guide us. We'll be following Miquella's footsteps. So if Grace was able to break this baldachin veil and reach Fia, who was supposed to lay with the remains of an exalted noble, possibly Godwin, and then she was driven from her home, it could be this is her home that she was driven away from. And then it also gives us, if we look deeper into Fia, we might be able to get a little more insight into what the culture and the history of this place is. So looking at this baldachin, we think Marika's bedchambers, and we think the baldachin blessing. So we'd have to dig deeper into who Fia is, what a deathbed companion is, her association with the death hexes and the curse marks, needing a full curse mark to enact her vision. It's all very interesting. I know some people are saying that they didn't think Godwin was going to be really, after watching this trailer, it didn't feel like Godwin was really, relevant to the DLC. But I mean, just looking at how the entire map is covered in this baldachin, it seems more likely than not that, what's going on with Godwin is really important. If we start looking at the tree, we see that it has, just like the preview image, we see one main tree filled with gold and then something wrapping around it. Right now, I don't know if it's another tree. It could be the death root. It kind of has that death root kind of feel. It may not be the Erdtree. It could be another tree. It could be the Erdtree's true form. And this baldachin is, showing, hiding its true form from the rest of the world. I got a lot of interesting theories when it comes to Deathroot and why it needs to exist. If you haven't watched my Eclipse video, after seeing this, gosh, there's so much I want to talk about. Okay, we're just going to talk about it. Maybe I'll bleep what I just said. So, if you haven't seen any of my videos before, I think Miquella is a master manipulator. I think he's for eternally youthful, cursed with eternal youth. So that means we don't know how old he is. And his sister is eternally decaying, so we can't tell how old she is either. So they could be as ancient as the ancient dynasty. They could be really, really old and enacting all these schemes. I paint the picture in my Eclipse video that I think the Eclipse is actually another word for the Knight of the Black Knives. The moon is Rani, and Godwin the Golden is supposed to represent the Golden Sun. Later in the video, we'll talk more about Godwin's relations to what this place may be. And that, Miquella was involved because he wanted the creation of Deathroot. So, why would he want Deathroot? The only way to do a true death is you have to, be given an Erdtree root burial, since the rune of death was removed from the Elden Ring. That being the case, with Deathroot, souls can't return to the roots, and now we know that Miquella is a husk of a body, he's a withered corpse, or whatever, and his soul is now in the Shadowlands. So, we kind of have a motivation to why he may want Deathroot, to prevent his soul getting sucked into the Erdtree so he can go to the Shadowlands. So, just looking at just knowing this, I could talk forever about this stuff, and I will be making a longer video, but this is a 3-minute trailer. So, and we've already been going for maybe 10 minutes, so let's keep going. This, when I see this, I think Neon Genesis Evangelion. But actually, I think that it might be, Miquella's ring. If you pre-order the game, if you pre-order the DLC, you get you get Miquella's ring. And kind of reminds me of the Clean Rot Knight sickle. So I kind of think this might be alluding to something of Miquella's design. And this armor kind of looks cool. Don't know what's going on here. His helmet's got this cool little ponytail. It's also closer to the Shadow Erdtree. I think if we pull back, it's probably, yeah, it's at the base of this big tower, it looks like. So if we move from here all the way closer to here, we get this kind of like Greco-Roman gladiator looking type guy. That really I think that really kind of like pinpoints that this place is supposed to be, the culture here is supposed to be much older than contemporary Lands Between. Lands Between is kind of medieval. This kind of looks like ancient Rome. So, we can kind of pinpoint. The ancient dynasty, too, kind of has that feel of the dynast and stuff. But I think that's supposed to be like Byzantine. So I think we can place the ancient dynasty before the culture of the Shadowlands. Then we have the Shadowlands, and then we have contemporary Lands Between medieval. So I think it's like Mesopotamia, Byzantine, I'm not sure, ancient dynasty, Greco-Roman, Shadowlands, and then medieval Lands Between. So we can kind of see like a timeline of the cultures
in that
there.
forsaken place, blood must spill.
Okay, so a lot there. That forsaken place, blood must spill. To me, I'm thinking that character is talking about the Shadowlands, but not too sure. This guy reminds me of maybe a Havel or a giant, or maybe he's not a giant. I don't know. This right here, the shoes, actually, are those the same shoes as the person we saw in the beginning? No, they're different. To me, I see that we get St. Trina's lilies, maybe a new type of flower that could be St. Trina. No way knowing, but it looks pretty cool. It looks like a mask, maybe. It's hard to say.
Blood must spill.
Here we get very Karian architecture. It looks like the Academy of Rylakaria. Get the birds, the bird cages.
Blood of your family.
And then we get this woman who you've probably seen other places. Looks like to be the figure who's in the Karian inverted statue. Maybe. I got a lot of pushback for saying that there was other like Karian queens before Renala. This may be one of them. It's hard to say, but her imagery is shown in the statues of Caria. So that's, we have some Carians in these Shadowlands still mucking about. Yeah, let's go.
The Erdtree faithful.
Swamp. All right. So this is really awesome. So we get this old man with this pendant. Kind of looks like Gideon's all-knowing symbol. Kind of looks like the St. Trina eye. We get this woman with a shawl over her eyes, covering her eyes. We know that the Nox cover their eyes with the soft silk. We know the finger readers remove their eyes. So eyes are very important, and she's covering her eyes with this shawl. She's also holding her abdomen. I think this is signifying that she's pregnant. In Farum Azula, I might throw the images on the screen. On Farum Azula, we have reliefs of a kingly man, and then we have reliefs of a woman and a child. And then we also have that statue of the young woman and the three wolves. What I see here is I see possibly Marika's father and Marika's mother. Luna has come to watch the trailer with us. So she's going to be with us for the rest of the video until she wants to leave. So when I see this, I see that kingly man in the Farum Azula reliefs, and a pregnant woman, possibly with Marika, holding Marika as her child. We know that from Miyazaki's interviews that the Shadowlands is where Marika first set foot and where she becomes queen and the birth of the Erdtree. So this could be the beginning of her family line. It's very possible. Also seeing that the connection between the Farum Azula reliefs, that to me, if you haven't seen my other videos, I'm very interested in the Sun Realm. The Sun Realm, you find them on those with Live and Death shields. Castle Sol is named after the sun, the Castle of the Sun. And And seeing that now we have faces to point to the reliefs in Far Missoula, I'm thinking these could have been maybe the leaders of this long forgotten sun realm. There is on between Volcano Manor, or between Mount Gelmir and the Altus Plateau, there is the Shaded Castle. Now, why is it called shaded? I would think because there's a big tree and the sun can't get to it. So it's the Shaded Castle. Opposite, I think you would have, the Shadowlands. There's a big tree, the sun can't get to it. Now it's the Shadowlands. So I'm thinking that this Shadowlands is this long forgotten realm of the sun realm. And these could have been their monarchs, or at least some of the monarchs that were within this area. We see them again later, and we can maybe we'll deduce what's going on with this sad old man here. He also kind of looks like the noble mask or whatever it is. You find it in Altus Plateau near the omens and the grave coffin carts. I don't remember exactly, but it's like, a defanged, dignified noble, and he kind of looks defanged and a little dignified. This reminds me of the Tower of Rebirth from Berserk, so Burkle reference, and then some jars, so who knows what the hell's going on here. This is pretty cool. So the reliefs on the left side look like the Divine Tower architecture. Oh, goodbye, Luna. And then we have this like motor churning the lava. The Divine Towers are like these massive, massive structures. And we find their structures, similar structures. We find throughout Caelid and Liurnia and the mountaintops and Limgrave, these structures coming out of the ground. Not the stuff that fell from the sky, but the stuff coming out of the ground. We also find in the High Road Cave where you can fight a golem. And from the golem's halberd, we know that they're made of black stone, and they were part of the civilization that's long gone. To me, I'm seeing this motor generating magma, and I see these reliefs on the side. That to me is like, well, this is an engine to create those things. This is where maybe the golems are created, or this is how they were able to build the Divine Towers, because they're these very giant buildings, and the type of castles that we see within the Lands Between now, most of them are very medieval. They don't look like they have the technology to be able to melt down massive amounts of like cement or black stone and create those things. So when I see this, I think, this is where the Blackstone civilization was creating their golems and creating their Divine Towers and the Ruinstream Precipice. So this is pretty cool. Cool picture of a castle. Don't know, it's an architecture I don't think we've seen before. The reliefs on the front remind me of the Ancient Dynasty and the reliefs that you find in Siafa River or in Mogwin. But, that's just like, I'm just guessing. I have no idea. It's also like just getting like fizzy at the top.
Never think.
Who knows what's going on there.
Happen to be on the losing side of a war.
Oh, so this part's really interesting. Let's listen to her dialogue.
They were never saints. They just happened to be on the losing side of a war.
All right, so that one is really interesting. This, to me, I think she's talking about the Sun Realm, the long-forgotten Sun Realm. She says they're never saints, they just happen to be on the losing side of a war. Then we get this giant siege engine, this Wicker Man siege engine with what is commonly a type of relief you would see of the sun, but it has horns coming out of it. So the Sun Realm's long forgotten. It is most likely the Sun Realm is probably this area. The Shadowlands is probably the long forgotten Sun Realm. And this is one of their siege engines, one of their weapons, where they would burn people alive to, operate it. And it has the sun face on it, but it also kind of looks like crucible horns. So the Sun Realm and the crucible may have been allies. They may be the same thing. They may, use, have similar cultural remarks. But, this is where I see they're not saints because, look, they're burning people alive to make a tank. And they just lost, So usually in war, there's no good guys, unless it's like World War II. But for the most part, there's no good guys in war. And I think that's kind of this line and this visualization just kind of show us that the Sun Realm were not good people. And maybe it was all right that they are long forgotten because, this is kind of horrific. And it's going to be cool to fight, too, probably. That's gross. What's interesting here is that you could see the moon, and this moon isn't casting any light. If you've watched my Karian history video, I go into how the full moon is the full moon that we see throughout most of the game is actually the dark moon casting no light, and you can go to Moonlight Altar to see the hidden full moon and then the dark moon behind the Erdtree. So it's interesting that we could see the full moon casting no light beneath the Baldecan Veil, and that this Carrion Knight is getting slurped up. It's funny that they put the Carrion Knight in front of the full moon shot. They knew what they're doing. This guy's cool. So this, I see Morgoth's feet. We get 2 sets of teeth. It's mechanical. And it closes it. This is kind of like those Chinese dragon puppets. There's 2 people at least controlling it, one up front and then one at the back. It has a lot of horns and it looks like a lion. So I think of Sarash, the king of the beasts. And I also think of those, the lions that we fight, the chain lions that we fight, the guardian lions. They have I think most of their horns are excised. So, I think this is supposed to be a representation of Sarash as maybe the king of the beast and the king of the crucible. The crucible is, all life melted together. It's very animalistic. So this could be, maybe it's not Sarash, but it's a lion. So it could be a representation of, Sarash and the crucible, or maybe just lions in the crucible, maybe another lion king in the crucible. But somewhere in that line, this is supposed to be a representation of a royal or a kingly or a mythical lion beast and the crucible together. So, the culture that we get here is a lot of respect for beasts and for the crucible. What's important here is we see kind of in the bottom right, we see these reliefs in the ground. Those are either reliefs of the sun, similar to what you would see in Castle Sol or Farum Azula, or possibly a relief of a flower. There's cut content that calls for this Miranda flower talisman that says it's the first Erdtree or something like that. I don't remember. It's cut content, so I didn't really take it too seriously. So this could be either a flower or it could be a sun. Here you could see the 2 people. You see the legs there and then the guy's arms there. So confirmation it's a puppet. And then here's a big thing: golden lightning. If we look at the death lightning spell, I'm really lighting up from this thing. Let's move the frame a bit. If we look at the death lightning spell, it says gold lightning is lightning of Godwyn the Golden, or Godwyn was known for using, or it gets gold lightning. Godwyn is known for using gold lightning. So whenever we see gold lightning, we should think Godwyn. Whenever we see red lightning, we should think ancient dragons. We're in this Shadowlands, and there's this lion beast, a puppet parade float thing, and it grabs this golden lightning. So, I see a relation to Godwyn the Golden, representing the golden sun, maybe and when I say sun, I mean the thing in the sky, America's child that she may have had here, and possibly not with Godfrey. Could have been with Godfrey, may have not been Godfrey. There's no confirmation that he's part of the golden lineage, just that his name is Godwyn the Golden. Nothing in game says he's part of the golden lineage. But we see this lightning. If you watch my Eclipse video, I relate this to Balder from Norse mythology, who was described as shining as bright as the sun and being the sun. And then we also have Gwyn, who is the Lord of Sunlight, who wields lightning bolts to fight the ancient dragons. So, this kind of seeing this lion grabbing the golden lightning, puts a connection to Godwyn and this place. Godwyn and this culture, there is a relation between them. So, that kind of makes it interesting. Why would Godwyn be a target for the Black Knight assassins if he has a tie to the Shadowlands? The crone within the finger reader crone within the deep root depths says that he should have been a martyr for destined death. So maybe that Godwyn the Golden has some relation to the long forgotten sun realm in the shadow realm. And to do something, if he martyrs himself for destined death, somehow we can get the revival of the sun realm. However, Ronnie intervenes and she cuts the curse mark in half, and then Deathroot happens. So there's a lot of interesting stuff that we're just getting from just this lion grabbing lightning.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction?
All right, so now we got Mesmer. It's known as Mesmer the Impaler. In the Weeping Peninsula, we have the Impaler Catacombs. Also within the Weeping Peninsula, we have Castle Morn, which is being overrun with the Misbegotten, who are said to have touched the Crucible. It's the what's his name? Edgar the Castilian is a banished knight. Banished knights have dragon ornamentation on them. We find them in Far Missoula and Dragon Communion, and they do storm attacks. We find them in Castle Sol. So let's just run it back one more time.
Mother, wouldst thou truly lordship sanction in one so bereft of light?
God, okay. I don't even remember what I was talking about. He just distracted me. I was talking about castles. Oh yeah. Because he's known as Mesmer the Impaler, and we have the Impaler Catacombs in the Weeping Peninsula. We have Castle Morn with, it's probably a place you don't go anywhere anymore for your playthroughs. But after seeing this trailer, it's like, well, let's take a look of what's going on in Castle Morn. His staff kind of looks like the what's impaling the dead giants within the mountaintops of the giants. So he could have fought in the War of the Giants. He has more Greco-Roman style clothing. So he's older than the current Order of the Lands Between. He's older than Ronnie and Rykard and Radon. He's covered in snakes that have dragon wings maybe popping out of them. The snake is considered a traitor to the Erdtree, and that's why they're used in the Colosseum's fight. This may have a relation to the immortal serpent. The godskins are very serpentile. They can elongate like the man serpents, and the godskin nobles have tails, serpentile tails. He has his own flame. It looks very different than the other types of flames. He also has this kind of dragon wing helmet. He has this dragon eye. His other eye is closed, similar to Melina and Ronnie. He also has red hair. The Miyazaki confirmed that he is a child of America. And he's most likely child of America and Ratigan, and might be the smoldering butterfly too. For a long time I was thinking, and probably many of you were thinking too, that the smoldering butterfly represented Melina. But now we got Mesmer and his flame. He's probably the smoldering butterfly. And now we have to look through the game again and where all these smoldering butterflies show up. One of them is Castle Morn. So, that area got a whole lot more interesting just with the introduction of this guy. It seems like he's not he may not be a triplet to Millennium Mikola. He may be an older or younger brother. But he has relations to flame. He has relationships to the serpent. When we think of serpents, we have to think of the immortal serpent, and we have to think of the man serpents, and we got to think of the godskins. Maybe he did Dragon Communion.
Bereft of light.
He also seems like he's talking about, Marika. He says mother, so we think Marika. Why would you want lordship for someone so bereft of light? I think why would you want a tarnished to become lord? I imagine that might be his boss introduction. That's what he says to our tarnished character when they walk in. He's like, hey, listen here, gold this. These guys got a little bit of omen horns and a little bit of gold and fire. The fire, that kind of reminds me of the candle tree and the surreptitious prophecy of burning down the Erdtree. So these people may have been seen as heretical to the Erdtree, They got the Crucible horns. So maybe enemies of the Erdtree, who knows? Also Catacomb back there. So everybody's favorite dungeons are back. These guys remind me of that Rosius Light dungeon, where you have to make them run into the light before you can attack them. They're shadow beings here. So, maybe when you go into that dungeon, that's supposed to be a representation of like these guys. Oh, that reminds me too. I want to go back to this guy representing the beasts. What's really interesting is, shadows of Empyreans. That's, all shadows are kind of wolves. Malekith, Blythe, Vagrim, the Raging Wolf, wanted to be a shadow. We have Erdtree Burial Watchdog, another type of beast that's supposed to be guarding Erdtree roots, so they're not, compromised for Erdtree burial. Used Red Wolves of Radigan, so there's a lot of like beasts, or like really the culture and the significance to beasts seems to all come from this place. Let's go back to where we were. Sorry if this is like scatterbrain. I told you, I'm just like, we're just shooting from the hip here.
So
this looks good.
bereft of light.
Here too, so yeah, she's doing whatever, sleep butterflies, who gives a shit? What we're really here for is the statue. We see a little statue of a lion guy with the omen horn, similar to the parade float thing. I see that. I think Siraj, King of Beasts, maybe the King of Beasts in the Crucible. Maybe Siraj betrayed the Sun Realm or the Shadowlands or the Beast culture, and he betrayed the Crucible and sided with Godfrey, or maybe he was spared. Really interesting stuff. But I see a lion, Crucible horns. I think you got to think of Siraj. You got to think of the King of Beasts. So who knows what type of culture this is? Like who is this supposed to represent? And is it anyone we know? And if it is someone we know, what does that mean for them? If it's Siraj, what does that mean for Siraj? What does that mean for the Golden Lineage if he's the one guiding the Golden Lineage? Cool sleep spell. We get a new. This guy kind of looks like a traveling like Catholic monk or something. What's his name from Burkle, from Berserk, Mazgus, and just like a Catholic priest. Throw in a pot.
I presume you too.
My new Black Swordsman cosplay coming soon.
Just what?
We get this guy is like a red bear, so maybe like a Radigan bear, or maybe not. It also reminds me of Nosferatu Zod, just without his little curly horn.
Just what?
Yeah, I think Radigan. This place, I have no idea what the hell's going on here. Like, I see this and I kind of think of we see the fingerprint graves in the sides that you see near Landell, and that you see in Castle Morn. Again, Castle Morn, crazy. Got to go replay that level again. But I see this and I think of like the Nox because of just the color. But I don't know. That's just like color association. Not trying to make any comment about it. This guy's pretty cool. So his face, he's got the gravity insignia, and then he starts harnessing the purple gravity magic. So we see that there is a gravity culture within the Shadowlands. I don't know what the Star Callers. They try to summon stars. Some of them summon alabaster lords around them. Maybe there's a relation between the Star Callers and these type of knights. They put your mom in the game. That I stole from Reddit. I'm sorry. This is like a very Crucible looking enemy. The spines coming out screams Crucible to me. This is Crucible. This is Dark Eater Medir's boss room and Captain Boomerang. No comment. I have no idea what's going on here. He looks really funky. And whatever lore is happening here, it's happening. It's underground too, so we go. Skipped ahead. So we got to think like underground, ancient dynasty, the Nox, who the hell knows what's going on.
Those
All right, so we get this guy again. This looks like the guy for the painting. You've probably picture that already. The spine. Oh, Luna's yelling, and we're back. So this reminds me of like the Elden Ring, the bottom of the Elden Ring. It also looks like the Blade of Calling, and it also looks like the Knight of Black Knives blades, the Death Blades, whatever they're called. I also think, like, why is he like this? What happened to him? This looks really painful and looks like it wasn't his choice. If he is, in fact, the father of Marika, I could see this as Marika punishing him for what he did to her. And, well, what could he have done to her? It's this is where the Shadowlands is where Marika became God Queen. That's from Miyazaki himself in one of the interviews. So it could be that potentially, this is all speculation, her father, if this is her father, kind of like sold her out. Like, I have this daughter, and now she's going to be the eternal queen and vessel of this Elden Ring. It used to just hang out in this tree or just rooting around or whatever, but we're going to place it in her, and I'm going to have the ultimate power because I will be the Elden Lord to my daughter. That's very gross and weird, but gotta remember, this was written by George R.R. Martin. He does that type of thing, So, I see this as this guy's getting punished for something that he did. And just speculation. I think it might be, whatever got Marika in the place that she's in now.
of the grace of gold shadow meet death. In the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
The dialogue tells us that anyone bereft of the grace of gold will seek death or get death in Mesmer's flame. So I think that means he has a unique flame. It's not blood flame. It's not black flame. It's Mesmer's flame. I think one of the promotional materials says that like his flame burned up, like engulfed the Shadowlands. So, he was probably involved in whatever it was why this place is gone. He's also since the snake is a traitor to the Erdtree, it's that he was allied with the Erdtree when it was first flourishing, and then did something to betray it. Maybe tried to burn it down. Who knows? But you also see kind of the Baldachins in the background. I actually want to go back and talk about the statue. I think you can kind of see it. This is only in 1080p, so I guess it's hard to see. But the statue actually has an armband on it, similar to the Statue of America. So she has the band on like her bicep. She's cradling what looks like a child, which kind of reminds me of the Iron Virgins. Maybe he's the child. This could have been maybe the first demigod. Who knows? All right, let's go back to where we were.
Death. In the embrace of Mesmer's flame.
Come now, touch the withered arm, and travel to the realm of shadow. I will not be far behind. May we meet again.
All right, so who's that talking? I'm kind of thinking it's like either just some like nebulous NPC, or maybe it's Saint Trina, maybe it's Mikola. It's whoever maybe that's the person in the beginning of the trailer. Whoever coaxes us to go to the realm of shadow. And then we get to see most likely Mikola themselves. What's interesting, we see Mikola in a golden form here, but their flesh is back in Mogwyn. If you watch my previous videos, then you'll know that I think that whatever Mikola was doing, he needed a lot of like blood from Mogwyn beneath Caelid because of what do you call it? Melania and Radon fighting. The blood washes on him. Initially I thought, time travel, but now I think it's like, okay, well, he needed all that blood on top of this felled tree looking thing in Mogwin, so his soul could be sent to the Shadowlands, and we're seeing like Miquella's soul in full force. And then we get this kind of like what looks like kind of like I don't know, maybe it's soul like, maybe these are roots coming out of the Erdtree. Who knows? It's crazy though. And that's that. I think we're like 40 minutes in to talking about a 3-minute trailer, and I wanted to do something short. So I hope you guys enjoyed this. You know, I rambled a bit. It was just whatever thoughts came in my head. I'm going to be doing a larger video that goes over what I think is like, you know, everything you need to know going into Shadow of the Erdtree. We're going to be looking at beasts. We're going to be looking at the Crucible. We're going to be looking at the Sun Realm. We're going to be looking at Banished Knights. We're going to be looking at Deathguard Companions, Godwyn, Miquella. It's going to kind of be a recap of my Eclipse video and maybe, you know, some other stuff, but it's also going to have like, you know, more cohesive information based on what we saw in this trailer. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you haven't, please watch my other videos. I've just recently released a 3.5-hour entire history of Karya video. We go all the way back. It was a lot of fun to make. I really appreciate if you watch it. And if you haven't, watch my Eclipse video, because that video kind of builds up who Miquella could be for Shadow of the Erdtree. And, you know, after seeing this trailer, I think I was kind of, you know, not spot on, but like close. Like, you know, it's really exciting. So thank you guys. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope to see you in the next one. Please leave a comment about what you think, you know, what your theories are for this. I read every single comment, and I try to reply to every single comment. You know, this is a piece of art that we all love, and it's a lot of fun to be able to discuss it with other people who also love this art. So, you know, thank you guys. See you in the next one.
Luther, you're not supposed to be sitting in Caelid or the Erdtree or wherever the green screen is going to be at this moment. Oh no, guys, look, Luther's in Shadow of the Erdtree. Watch out, he's shooting lightning at everyone. Isn't that scary? Luther's in Shadow of the Erdtree. Ah.